Hey friends, I'm here today with another Tiny Pandora design team video. Today I'm going to be making beaded headbands and I really hope you enjoy watching. Hello, here we're going to get started, and I'm starting off this video with a photograph of the cane I'll be using to make these beads. I made some matching round beads to make the earrings, and you'll see at the end I'll take a photograph of them. I used components and scrap from the cane making process to make the matching earrings because I wanted it to be tied in with the same color family, but not exactly the same as the cane pattern. And we've made the cane, I made the components into a sheet and then used the Tiny Pandora wooden bead template to make circles cut out of the sheet of flattened scrap and cane components. And then I applied them with Bacon Bond to the wooden beads. And as you know, almost everything that we use in our design team videos is available on tinypandora.com. And the clay that I'm using here is Pardo clay, and that can be found at blueberrybeads.com. They're a wonderful family business. So if you want to check them out or check out tinypandora.com, I think you'll be able to find lots of things that you'll have fun with. Here I'm applying the Bacon Bond to the wooden bead. I'm using a chopstick. You'll find it really helps in the process of making these wooden beads because it keeps them in place, and you can just sort of spin your chopstick as you apply the Bacon Bond, and also as you apply the clay, and also as you apply your coating afterward, or top coat. I use DeepShine on mine, but sometimes I don't want shine, so sometimes I'll just sand them or use super matte to finish my projects. Now, like I said, today I'll be using the cane that I made previously on Crafting Live with Pandora and Elaina, and it was the web cane. You guys, if you're part of that Facebook group with Crafting Live, then you would have seen the web cane that we made. And if you want to check it out, you can, because those videos are not just available when we make them live. Those videos are available for replay later. And it's pretty simple to join the group, and there's every week new projects. So you got Saturdays with Crafting Live and Sundays on Tiny Pandora Design Team on YouTube. So I've applied the Bacon Bond, and now I'm going to apply a sheet that I sliced from that cane as like a veneer to the wooden bead. And then you want to kind of be gentle and gingerly apply that clay and get it how you like it so that you can trim it if necessary. And here I'm trimming off a little bit of excess clay just to avoid it being too thick in certain parts and thinner in others, and you don't want it to have too much overlap and too much smoothing that you'd have to do, and you don't want it to be too lumpy. I find that I do usually have to smooth out a little bit of air bubbles after I get them out of the oven. But not always. but when I do, it's really not too difficult. I don't know if you guys have covered wooden beads before, but you know, occasionally there'll be a small air pocket, and if you get to them while they're still warm, you can smooth them out pretty well. I try to avoid air pockets, but it's kind of just a fact of life, I suppose. So continue to smooth this onto the bead, and really you can do it for as long as you want. It depends on how much of a perfectionist you are. These chopsticks and the template that I used and the wooden beads are a kit that comes together on Tiny Pandora. And so I had been playing around with them in some of our videos, and we also had the headbands we'd ordered and wanted to do something with. And once I realized that the headbands could fit through beads and that I could make beaded headbands, I was in heaven, because I love to make hair accessories whenever possible. But as you know, it can be challenging to make hair accessories that will stay in your hair and aren't too heavy if you make them all out of clay. So being able to cover lightweight wooden beads was kind of like a game changer for me. Like, it made it so I could make any color combination, any pattern that I wanted to go with just about any outfit. I could make them for me and Jolene and as gifts, and I can put them on the headband however I like, just like you would make jewelry, and it won't end up being too heavy to wear. And also really awesome that I've discovered is that these headbands really are not tight on your head. I mean, they don't just fall right off, but they don't squeeze your head either, which I think is fantastic, because, you know, that can trigger headaches. A lot of people find that they can't wear headbands, but these are very comfortable to wear. So that's just an FYI. Another bit of information while you're watching me smooth clay onto a bead is that these headbands are metal and they can be a little sharp on the edges. When you're fully finished with your project, you may even want to cap them. I don't find that it's like scratches me when I'm wearing it or anything, but when you are making them, you'll find that when you put the wooden beads over the headband and you're kind of weaving the headband through the hole on the bead, if you're pushing on the bead and it's kind of a tight fit, the headband might come quickly out the other side and jab into you, which I had happened to me. And boy, I felt like such a dum-dum, but I didn't make that mistake too many more times. Now I really slowly go through and kind of core out the bead if it's a tight fit, like turn it like you're screwing it onto the headband. And that really helps to keep you from jabbing yourself, because I managed to do it twice, not once, but twice before I learned. So I'm passing that info on to you guys so you don't do the same. And here I am showing you the cane as it has been made into a rectangle. And we, again, used the Tiny Pandora wooden bead template to choose the size and shape that the cane was reduced and cut and made into, so that it would be suitable to add to the oval beads, which are the main beads on this particular headband we're doing today. Now, this is more of the same. I'm showing you that I made uniform slices of this cane, and I'm continuing to apply them to the oval beads. Now, this can be a bit, tedious. This is probably the part that takes the longest, but it is fun, and the I think you'll find that the longer you take, the more patient you are with it, like the more beautiful your beads will come out and how smooth and even they'll be. I find that the only time I have crazy beads is when I'm trying to do things too quickly. So take your time and enjoy it. Now this is the metal headband I'm adding these to that I was showing you just now. And I apologize for being a bit out of the frame on some of this, but I'm also showing you the oval bead. I was applying some more bacon bond to another bead and continuing to create the beads for this headband. Now you'll find in the next segment that I will be applying paint, like glitter paint, gold glitter paint, kind of fine gold glitter that has a sheerness to it. And I added it to the smallest oval wooden beads that come in our kit and made those the spacers on the headband. You can do so many things. You could make your spacers also covered with clay. You could silk screen a nice sheet or slab of clay and use that to make your beads. And also, which all of these things I'm going to be doing with headbands because I plan to just make one for every day of the week pretty much. But I also am going to be making rolled beads with our Beads and Blend kit that will be on headbands, and I think that's going to be really neat and different too. So be on the lookout for that. And you can pretty much just explore any ideas that you have. I'm like excited to go and find beads that will fit over the headband now. Like, even though we've got just so many beads, because my mom and I love beads, so we've got just a collection that you wouldn't believe, but you never have all the beads you could ever want, do you? There's always some more beads you could get. Because now I'm kind of obsessed with finding cool spacer beads that will fit over the headband. And in fact, I could probably tell you exactly how big they need to be. Let's see here. Yeah, it is like 1/8 of an inch. Even maybe smaller. Let's see. About 1/8 of an inch. The size of this headband that you'll be needing to fit through. And so a lot of beads that we have will fit over the headband. But it'll be my new mission to find all the best ones for spacers. I was excited to find the silver metal pony beads that I use on the red beaded headband, which I will show later on, and which I showed in a post about this video. But you'll see later in the video, I'm going to show you the red beaded headband. And the way that I did that one was my first experiment with the headbands. I used a black metal headband for that one. And what I did was get like red glitter Primo and make a nice sheet of swirl with a dark crimson. And I made a big lentil swirl and then flattened that out into a sheet, which I made into the veneer for these wooden beads. And then did the same process that I am currently showing on this video. I sculpted it onto the bead bases, on the wooden beads, and then baked them. And then did a nice coating of DeepShine, a couple coats on the red ones, because I wanted them to be really lipstick red and have like a real cherry burgundy, like a black cherry finish to them with like some sparkle. And that was my goal because I'm always looking for hair accessories to go with clothes that I have that are that deep red, or lipstick that I have that's deep red. So that was why I did the red headband as my very first one, because it's something that I actually needed and would use. And so this one, the inspiration for this one was that we just love the colors of this cane. And I wanted to make sure I made it out of a cane that I had shown you guys how to make. And I wanted to make a totally different color family, just that could go with some other completely different outfits, and also made some earrings to go with both the red headband and this headband that we're making right now. Okay. So here we have the beads all covered with clay and ready to go in the oven. And while those go in the oven, I will show you also this red headband that I just finished describing to you. And that's how it came out. Now, I like there to be some organic shape to my beads. I like them to look like they're beads that I made and not just bought from the store. So for me, I do like them to have kind of, I don't know, I guess just a natural shape. But if you want your beads to look more perfectly smooth, then you could totally sand these once they're done baking, and I think they would also turn out wonderfully. The sheets of clay that you're applying to them, it's thick enough that you can withstand some sanding. And also, whatever coating you like, you do this how you like it to turn out. But here I've used DeepShine, and I made the matching earrings with the DeepShine and with the nice kind of organic shapes. To me, the earrings look like cherries. So that's the red headband and earrings. And then here we have the gold headband, and I'm showing you the wooden beads that I used to make these, all of the different beads that I just made with the cane. And just getting ready to put them in the oven. That's the translucent votive holder from our live we done on Saturday. So I'm just showing you that I'm going to be using these small beads to make the spacers that I talked about. So when I went to design the headband, and when I went and made the red headband and matching earrings, what I was trying to do was find complementary beads to break up the larger clay covered beads. And so I found that I wanted to do a little bit different shape and a smaller bead for the spacers. So I chose round beads to make the earrings for both headbands, just to make it match but not perfectly match. And then the small ovals in between the large ovals, I wanted to make gold to bring out the gold in the cane and also to go with the base headband. So I looked through our bead collection, and as I told you before, there weren't every single bead that I would want with a large enough hole. So I thought, well, if you don't have it, make it, right? So that's when I went ahead and used some gold fine glitter paint. And I'll be showing that to you before I apply it. So that I coated these beads with, and I'll show you just the method that I use, because when you're gonna need to dry your beads, I'm sure you guys are well aware that you can't really lay them down. They'll start rolling around and they're not dry yet. So I use the chopsticks, and then when they're drying with paint on them, I go ahead and stick them in my little pen cup and make sure they're not touching. I also like to use my pen organizer to hold the chopsticks so that they don't touch. And I let them dry with their paint on them. And then I use a little contraption that you can create with a bar of clay to place my chopsticks into the UV light when I put DeepShine on them, or any UV coating that you want to use if that's how you choose to coat your beads. So right now I was applying the paint to the little beads, the spacer beads. And again, I apologize when I am out of frame. It was a very long day when I was making this video. So I was just by myself putting it on under the camera, and I was like thinking that the shot was pretty good. And then when I looked later, it wasn't always in frame like I wanted it to be. So hopefully you can bear with me. All right, so here, just showing you the bead on the chopstick. And again, the chopstick is an invaluable tool. We get these stainless steel chopsticks for you guys because it's the best way to use these, to paint these wooden beads and to apply coatings to these wooden beads, because since it's a graduated thickness, you can just push the bead on there until it's kind of stuck, so that you can just spin the chopstick instead of the bead spinning around and doing whatever it wants, or instead of having to hold it and try to avoid getting paint or coatings all over your fingers. The chopstick just does so much of the work holding it where you need it. So again, those come with the wooden bead kit, so you will always have one to use. I think we'll probably list them individually in the store too, so that you can get a bunch. Because when you're making a project like this, I'll show you in a moment, you end up needing more than one because you don't want to have to do like one bead at a time. So I used like a half dozen chopsticks. Okay, so here I'm just showing you the DeepShine that I'm going to put on. And DeepShine comes with little cups, and I use the Goldilocks brushes, and I just pour a little bit into a little cup, and I'm gonna paint some DeepShine over that fine gold glitter. I really wanted to be able to see the real wood underneath the paint, so I didn't do heavy thick coatings of color. I just did a nice brushing of ultra fine glitter, so that you could still see the wood grain a little bit, but it added a little sparkle and goldness to it, so that it would go better with the gold that's in the clay and on the headband. So here you can see my little homemade contraption of clay. And it's a bar of clay that I placed on the little, that's just a mirror sticker that we placed on a big piece of lucite that we can fit into our UV light. And the UV lights are also available at Tiny Pandora, and they come with a little mirrored bottom too. So what we did was use just a larger piece, a slab of lucite that we had, but you won't have to necessarily make a separate pull-out shelf for yours. But it is good to have a mirrored bottom, even if it's foil that you put underneath, because it's going to get both sides of the bead. The light's going to reflect onto the underside as well as you're curing them. So you won't have to sit there turning the item in there, or you won't have to keep flipping it over to cure it on both sides if you've got something mirrored beneath it. I'm sure that makes sense. So here I am applying DeepShine to all of my beads and making a row of them with the chopsticks, and you just press the chopstick into the clay so that it won't go all over the place for you. It'll just stay right where you want it in preparation to go and cure in the light. Here we go. I think we're on the fourth one now. Like I said, there's about a half dozen that I made as spacers. In fact, I made extra. I think I ended up making at least 7 of them because I wanted to have a spare just in case. I did the same thing when I made the large beads for the headband. I always make an extra because there's usually one that you feel is like the weakest link. you don't want to have too few beads to make your project, so you don't want to get everything out and start over making your beads after you've already finished those steps. So I just try to at least make one, sometimes there are a couple extras of each kind of bead that I'm making, and that way it'll allow me to choose my favorites when I complete the project. And now you'll just see nothing on here because I put all of those little guys under the UV lights. And now I've got my large beads out of the oven, and I'm going to be applying the DeepShine to the large beads now. Okay, so this is just a UV coating, and it makes your items really shiny, and they can be a lot stronger with that application of DeepShine, which is really nice because you don't want your stuff to be too vulnerable once you've put a lot of work into it. Also, I can tend to be a little bit impatient, so I like the coatings to just be dry and hard and ready to use as soon as I'm ready to use them. So that's what I think is the appeal to me about UV coatings too, is that it's just like permanent and quick to get it on there. So I'm applying the DeepShine to the bead, and those are going to be the large beads in the headband, and they will also go into cure. And then you'll be able to see me go ahead and finish the headband and show you it on with the earrings. It occurred to me after making this video that you probably would want to know about making the earrings too. We did a little thing with like chain and a little pretty rhinestone underneath the large ball bead that I made with scrap. Here's the bead with DeepShine. And so you can see the cane pattern there on the bead. Use like a periwinkle color of the Pardo clay that I really like. Anyhow, it occurred to us that you might want to know how to make the earrings too. So if you do, just let us know, and we can even do a video about that as well, or like a quick, snippet for you guys to see how to do that, how to put those together. Because I do think they actually turned out pretty cool, and you will see at the end. So here, just again, the DeepShine on the bead, the coating, and then those are going to go in and cure after we're done with all of them. And I've also coated the gold painted beads with DeepShine and taken them out. Then we'll be ready to go ahead and construct our headband. So you're going to slide them on, in the order. You can go from either side of the headband to do your pattern. So that's really nice. You can start at the center and work outward the same way you would with jewelry. And that's what I did. And again, be careful of the little sharp edges. When you're working the smaller beads onto the headband, you want to do like a kind of a slow motion, like you're using a screwdriver to get it on there, because you want to core it out just a little bit so it fits snugly. So you don't want to just try to pop them on there, and because you might be in for a little jabbing if you do that, and it's no fun. Now you can't really see the color of this as well as I'd like. Oh, there's the red one. That one you can see a little bit better. But at the end, you're going to see in just a moment, you'll get to see the headband in the light, and you'll be able to see the earrings as well. So here we go. Here is the completed headband with the earrings. And I hope you enjoyed watching me make it. And have a wonderful day. We'll see you next time.